Personalizing student engagement is only possible when enrollment management and MARCOM are aligned. At Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, Ryan Hogan's team uses Element 451 to improve student outcomes.
They love the AI functions where if they're coming up with an email campaign, they can ask it to help develop something and then they go in and edit that. They also really enjoy the use of the landing pages for the campaigns that we build. So not only do we design emails and things, but we can also have landing pages that can give information to our students. And so it really brings the team together. So our enrollment staff is helping identify what the issue is, and then the marketing and communication staff can collaborate with them in Element to provide the solution for the problem we're trying to solve.
Aligned teams create better experiences for students. Visit element451.com to learn how an AI-first student engagement platform fuels a smarter, more connected campus experience.
Welcome to In Your Element, the podcast that unlocks practical wisdom in higher education, where leadership meets real talk. I'm Brendan Hinkle, Manager of Solutions Engineering here at Element 451.
And I'm Daniella Norden, Element 451's Director of Customer Success and Engagement. Join us every other Thursday for discussions with everyday heroes using Element 451 in enrollment, marketing, and student success. We'll unlock the practical tips to help you make waves on your campus.
In Your Element is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of In Your Element. I'm really excited about our guests today. I have to, Tyler, I told you this when we were talking. About a year ago, Carrie from Johnston Community College was telling us all about this new hire. She had recently hired a CRM Content Coordinator, how excited she was for this person to start, all of the great work that this person was going to do. And about a year later, we are here with that person. We are here with Tyler Albright, the CRM Content Coordinator at Johnston Community College. Welcome, Tyler. Your reputation precedes you.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here today. Wow, you really hyping me up there.
It's so true. I just remember Carrie being so excited. And just so that everybody out there who's listening knows, you had this really wonderful LinkedIn post that did a really nice summary of all of the accomplishments that you've been able to accomplish in Element 451 over the last year. And we're really excited to talk to you about your student check-in process, which was one of the initiatives that you all implemented this year. You have been instrumental in that, working with Carrie and others, and it's been successful. So maybe let's start there. Walk us through that process of building that student check-in process. Why'd you do it? Where'd you start? Give us the whole rundown.
Yeah, so our Student Success Center is designed to be a one-stop shop for our students. And we really wanted to centralize that process for our employees. We were kind of, I would say, bouncing around between softwares to figure out a student's journey and all of their information. It was a software that we were only using for our queuing system to check students in. So the only thing we were doing was checking them in through the system. So once they got checked in, you had to bounce to another software to figure out something else about that student. So we wanted to have our check-in system be somewhere that you could find information about that student as well. So that's where Element came in. And I really have to shout out my boss, Carrie, which you mentioned earlier. She actually brought the idea of doing some kind of check-in in Element. But as we all know, Element doesn't necessarily have a designated check-in system. So we had to find a workaround. So we started that process in the task module. And we were able to create custom templates for all of the tasks that we check our students into the center with. We're able to assign it to the employee or the team that it needs to go to. So yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a figuring out how we can work around the system to use it how we intended to with that check-in system. So it definitely took a little bit of trial and error, seeing what worked, what was most efficient, but it's been a really great system since we've got it implemented.
It's so creative to use something like tasks, which is not something that you would think would check in a student. What types of like appointments are you taking, or what would students check in for at the Student Success Center?
So our center has basically all of the student services that a student could need, financial aid, advising, career services, accessibility. So all of those different types of things that a student might come in for, we're going to check them in through Element. Like I said, there was a lot of trial and error to get to this system that we ended up with, but how it's set up now is we have custom templates for each of those services. So in alphabetical order from admissions to wellness services are listed out in there. Most of them are preloaded with who they would typically be assigned to. So it may be a specific employee or, for example, financial aid. It's just assigned to the financial aid team, whoever's available first to grab that student. And it is then sent to the Student Success Center queue where everyone can view all of our students who are waiting to be helped by us.
This is insane. For those of you who don't know, explain what a queue is, because that's something that a lot of people, I think, don't really know about or know how to use it.
So before I really started this journey with checking students in, I didn't really use Q to its full potential. So I've definitely got some more experience with that now. But how I use the Qs for the Student Success Center, I created a custom type, and any of the types that's just Student Success Center, they'll go into that queue. So you can do a queue for really anything on a task. And it's kind of like a segment. So pulling it by a certain filter or a certain field will pull it into that queue. So we have one set up for the Student Success Center. Like I said, that trial and error, I started off with a few, but we realized the one was going to be best for everyone just to see everything at once. So the queues are awesome for categorizing and organizing your tasks for your team.
I love that. And you're right. Like the fact that you can almost use them with a segment or like an audience that makes it dynamic.
Mhm.
It's something you kind of can set and forget when you're in there. So when a student checks in, are you manually creating that task? Like somebody comes in, pulls up that student record in Element, and that kicks off the series of tasks or that task template creation?
Yes, so that is primarily done by our front desk staff at the Student Success Center. When a student comes in, we actually have a little keypad where they can just type in their student ID, pulls up the profile, and we can add that task in really quickly. Or you can just do it from the task module page. It's really whatever is the best process for them because, it works the same either way. And then also our employees or people in the Student Success Center who aren't at the front desk, they also got training on how we wanted to run this process and how to add those tasks in because we create a new task every time they go to a different stop. So if they started at financial aid and then went over to career services, we would create a new task for career services.
Oh, what a great way to keep track of all of the resources that that student is using.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to ask, what were students doing before? Like, how did they check in before? I know back end you kind of explained you would check them in, then jump somewhere else, but what was the student experience?
So we still had those same little keypads. They would type in their number or give us their name, and we would just enter them into the queuing system. And at that point, it was up to whoever was on the other side of that system to see the student. They weren't really seeing much of that process. But on their side now, it's definitely helpful that we can see their whole journey in one spot on Element instead of just having that small little queue that just says they're in line waiting. We can go back and look and see maybe why they're waiting. We could see some more information about them from Element.
That's awesome. This may be a little too specific, but I know somebody out there is going to ask this. Did you import all of your current students into Element, or what happens like if that student types in that ID and it doesn't match, or if it's a new student? How did you get those records into Element?
So when we first started, there was a mass import, and this was like a little bit before I got here. So Don't really know all of the details on that one. However, we have connected our application. We're still doing our applications for our traditional students through the North Carolina site, CFNC, but we do have all of those connected. So they're brought in automatically to Element. So all of our current students are good in the system. For prospective students, we just simply add their account in. All you have to have for an Element account is a name, an email, and I think that's it. But we always add phone
That's it.
number. So it's really simple to add a student. If we do have a prospective student who isn't in our system yet, we just add them in.
I like this. The reason I asked that question is because you're really talking about the full life cycle of that student. So that student applies through CFNC, gets
Mhm.
imported into Element. Like you can track from when they become a current student, what resources they're using. So you really get a nice view of that student, what they're doing, what resources they're using, how they're doing. And that helps you all make them successful, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and helps them graduate. I love that. So, since you've been implementing this system, what are some of the improvements that you've seen?
So before we implemented this system, obviously not a ton of our student services employees were in Element yet. So they obviously had to get some training, get into the system so they could check students in. And by doing that, they've become more involved in Element with answering chats or maybe, hey, I want to create this form for this certain thing that I want to do with my students. Just becoming more aware of the use cases within Element 451 and using it to the best of their ability to help their students as much as they can. Definitely the chats would be the number one thing. We've seen a ton of success with just sending students SMS. They check that so much more frequently than their emails for us. So that's definitely been a big positive for us having those new users in Element.
What are the 10 AI tools you can't afford to miss in 2025? From automating tasks to personalizing content, find out at AI Engage Summit. This free virtual event on February 25th and 26th will give you the tools to thrive in higher ed's AI-powered future. Register now at enrollify.org/engage. What a great way to follow up too. So you had this meeting with this student, you've got all their information in there. You can follow up by literally clicking one button and
Mhm.
sending a text message or an email to that. So that's awesome. And we love to hear more users in Element. We love hearing
Love it.
that. So that's great news.
Yeah.
Any data, like you've got to be, measuring even task performance. There's a task performance dashboard. Tell us what results you've seen or how many you've completed since this has been, launched.
Yes, I've got to start out by shouting out Element Insights. They are the best thing ever. It's so easy to check and analyze your data. Literally at the click of a button, you can see all of your data on that one dashboard. So we officially implemented this system in our center on September 12th. And I just checked all this data yesterday so I could have the most updated. So as of yesterday at 2 p.m., we had 4,150 check-in tasks created within Element 451.
Whoa.
From those tasks, we serviced 2,179 students. So like I said, each of their visits creates a new task. So it may have been they came in one day and did multiple things, or they've came and seen us multiple times in the center. 927 of those students had at least 2 tasks associated to their profile. So we know that they're coming in for more than one thing at a time, which is good. And then this is where Element is really cool, I feel, because this is some of the data that we might not have been able to receive without a CRM. Our busiest day of the week is Wednesday. Our slowest day is Friday. Our busiest hour is 10 a.m., slowest hour is 4 p.m. Averaged out about 34 tasks a day, and our most created task was advising. So a lot of advising
Wow.
appointments coming in. But yes, shout out to Element Insights because that is crazy data that I feel like you really couldn't pull from many other softwares.
So I have to tell you, I don't even think I knew that it would do like the best day and the best hour. So even I learned something today. That's super fascinating because now you can anticipate that. You
Yeah.
can say, hey, maybe we need an extra advisor Wednesday at 10 o'clock or Wednesday 10 to 4. That's wild. And for people out there, how much manual manipulation did you have to do on that data? Or did you have to download anything?
All of those like first ones I read off about just like the basic numbers, like how many we had coming in, that was right there for me. I didn't have to do anything but just pull up the screen. Busiest day and busiest hours, all I had to do was download. I can't remember exactly what the, you know, what the data insight was,
Yes.
but I just downloaded that Excel sheet, put it in order by the day, plugged it in Chat GPT, and it gave me a really quick answer. Really wasn't too much work to figure out that data from the Insights tab.
Love a Chat GPT shout out and love using AI. That's just fantastic. Oh, this is so great. Thank you for sharing those. You also mentioned last time we talked that you've been doing surveys after those meetings too. Talk a little bit about how that's been going, what you're asking in the survey, how you deploy those.
So we did previously have a survey before we started this check-in process with Element. However, students had to access that survey from a QR code, which was just on a little card that we gave them when they walked out. So it's kind of like a 50-50 chance if they're going to fill it out. So now that we have this check-in system with Element, I set up a workflow to just automatically send them an email and a text. Really quick message that says, hey, thanks for coming in. Hope you enjoyed your experience. Please fill out the survey. And then the survey just asks them a little bit more about their experience. And the most important question on that survey, at least in my opinion, is, would you like to be contacted about your visit? Is there anything else we can assist you with? And I think this really, really helps us with, finishing that circle and connecting back with that student. If there's anything else that they might have missed that day, something we couldn't help them with in that exact moment, we know what it is and we know we need to follow up with them. So that's definitely been helpful. And again, those chats, I love them. Super easy to just send a quick SMS to that student and usually they'll respond. So that's been super, super, super helpful.
That's awesome. Are the students completing them? Like, do you see completion rates and have you used any of that feedback?
Yes. So I'd say about like 70% of students at least click on the link, and then 50 of those would actually complete the survey. Surveys, it's kind of up in the air if someone's going to do it. But I think this one, because it is so specific and it is about their education experience, if they need more help, that's what's making them more apt to fill it out. So it's definitely a good use case for surveys if anyone out there is looking for something to do with surveys.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so I got to ask, any tips? We've got a lot of partners out there who are dipping their toes into student success or trying to figure out where to start. You mentioned trial and error a lot. I think being okay with failure is really important, being okay with it not working. But any tips you would have for partners out there who are trying to figure out where to start or how to measure effectiveness and how to keep going even?
So I kind of piggyback off what you said about being okay with failure. When I first started with Element, I just graduated college in 2023. So this is like my really big first girl, job. So,
and you're crushing it and you're totally crushing it. So yeah.
Thank you. But it definitely, since I was a new young professional, I'd be a little intimidated to try things out at first. And I have to shout out Carrie because she's really motivated me to just try it. Just test it out one time. If it doesn't work, you can remove it, you can change it, but you're never going to know until you just do it. So that was kind of my mentality with this whole task check-in thing too. I would just set it up and try it. My team would give me feedback. If it didn't work, maybe we can improve this. And that's how you're going to get somewhere. You're going to have to just try it out, see what works, and then you will end up with a good product. And again, those insights, definitely take advantage of those. That's going to give you a ton of data and information about what is working in your system and maybe things that you could improve on.
I was going to say the same thing. I was like, this is a great place to start because you can even just set up one of those types. Maybe it's just advising, and it gives you a benchmark and a place to start so that you can see how it's working. And using the built-in insights will give you that baseline number. You can report out and you can build from there. So great example. All right, then. So then we've got one final question for you, Tyler. This is our traditional podcast question. We need to know when you are in your element.
Okay. I put a lot of thought into this question and I kind of have a two-sided answer because I just couldn't pick. My first one, I'm going to have to say at the beach. Like I said, I'm a UNCW graduate. I'm a Wilmington girl. So I'm a beach girl through and through. It's my happy place. I'm ready for the warm weather. Done with
Me
the
too.
snow.
Yeah, me too. I love that.
But my second half of my answer is work related. So I would say creating fun content that engages with students. When I'm saying fun, I'm thinking of student life events, anything that I can just make really engaging for students. I feel like it's in those times where I'm the most creative. Some of those transactional messages like payment, you have to be very specific in what you say. So you definitely have more free will and creativity within those kind of events. So that's definitely where I'm in my element at work, is just creating super fun and engaging content for students.
I love that. That's different than what I thought, because this example you showed us is so like operational heavy, right? So it's kind of nice to have both of those outlets, that you can be creative, but then you can also be very like task oriented or very operationalize
Yes.
that project.
It's
I love
definitely
it.
something I love about my job. I have a wide variety of responsibilities. So I get to be, technical and operational with these things and tasks, but then I can have fun creating the student newsletter. So
That's great.
never the same day here at JCC.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. Thanks for sharing this example. Keep
course.
serving those 2,000 plus like students. I can't wait to hear in the future how many more students have come through. And I know that y'all take that student engagement and that student services piece really to heart at JCC. So it's nice to see that this has been working and that y'all have been successful with this. But thank you so much. Will we see you at Engage this year?
Yes, I will be at
Yes.
Engage. So if you see me, come say hi. I'm super
Yes.
excited.
Good. Awesome. Thanks so much, Tyler.
Thanks for having me.
In Your Element is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too.
Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional.
Our shows help higher ed marketers and enrollment professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your host. Learn from Mallory Wilsey, Artis Kadu, Maya Demishkovich, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed.
Enrollify is made possible by Element451, the leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.